And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, we're live. I see it on my phone. No such thing as bad luck. This is Ted Hicks from Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Back in the queue with Danny Thompson. Danny,
Yes.
I think it was earlier today. I gave
Yep.
you I said Daniel Timothy Thompson.
Theodore Jebediah Hicks the
There you go.
third.
So, last time we spoke, you were heading to the Black Sports Business Symposium.
Yes, sir.
You have traveled there and back safely to and from Atlanta, Georgia. Sir, your thoughts on that event? How was the experience?
For those who are trying to be part of this just the sports realm, Ted, there's so many different parts that when you watch sports, people think it's just athletes and coaches. There's so much more sports than just what we see on the field, what we see on the court or on the ice or whatever surface they're playing on. And what Greg Gibson, Kevin Dimitrov, a team full of tremendous people all across the United States who volunteer their time, got together with some organizations, the LA Rams, the Atlanta Falcons, and companies such as ESPN, and multitude of companies, BSC Global, the New Orleans Pelicans, Saints and Pelicans, among others. They got together, Major League Baseball, NHL, and they got together to create an event, Ted. Not only just to be able to create opportunities, but a networking opportunity with speakers from all across the spectrum of sports to get African Americans to come together to be able to break the door down. It's more than just, like I said, playing on the field. They had everybody from people who work in business offices to working in communications to working in social media, with Ted, the newest thing, which is NIL. You had mental health. You had so many different aspects of sports in one area. They just had to use Mercedes-Benz Stadium to do it over a 3-day period last weekend. 2 weekends ago, and it was just an amazing experience. It's the second annual event. Like I said, the team, the Black Sports Business Symposium group, an amazing set of people. And Ted, the best part about it is they're all volunteers.
Wow.
Mostly, with the exception of the founder, Greg Gibson Jr., a lot of the folks are just volunteers. And you have to thank Kevin Dimitrov. You have to thank Arthur Blank, who not only let the symposium use the Mercedes-Benz Stadium for 2 days, but Ted, he also donated 100 and paid for 100 historically Black university college HBCU students to go. Not only paid for their airfare, paid for the hotel for the entire experience of the symposium, and they were able to start the symposium on Wednesday. So they had a special day at State Farm Arena on Wednesday just for them. So it was not, Ted, if you see the headline speakers, you're looking at Maria Taylor, you're looking at Rich Paul, you're looking at Dawn Staley, you're looking at Maya Moore, Michelle Roberts, Bubba Wallace, among others. Amina Hussein from Amazon. There were so many speakers. I think there was like maybe 75 different sessions over 2 days. It was an eye-opening experience, and you get to meet people. It's like a big family reunion, so it was an amazing experience.
That's excellent. Hey, I do want to say hello to Tony D and also Leggy Lady, aka Helen Wallace, are in the building supporting the stream,
Good evening.
supporting you. So tell me about the networking aspect of it.
The networking aspect, Ted, a lot of times, when you're trying to get into anything, Ted, it doesn't have to be sports. It can be any type of realm where you're looking for employment. You're just doing anything in general. The hardest thing to do, Ted, is to meet people, and not just meet people, meet decision makers. So this event allowed you to get with decision makers, people that that make decisions, or people that have higher stature in a business organization, a company, and you're able just to sit down and talk with them. Whether it be in passing, whether it be after a session on Friday, was it they had different networking events. They had one on Saturday for professionals and one for students. And the thing is, Ted, you just see people just walking around. Not only the speakers, but there are people from organizations that were there that were just part of the event itself. You look and you're walking around and you see people from the Brooklyn Nets and the BSC Global family just literally walking around. You have, people from Amazon walking around, ESPN, so many different companies. And, the networking, you said that you meet people. And for some, it's a set of students. For professionals, it's something different. You got a chance to meet people that you've already known or people that you meet on social media. People who got in that you talk to on social media or you have conversations with in Twitter Spaces or in Facebook or YouTube, those streams, and they actually were there and you got a chance to, to pinpoint and, connect. So there's so much networking there.
Final question on this topic. Where do you envision this symposium going in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think, Ted, I think once you get more exposure and you see what it's done for people, like one of the best things about it, Ted, was ESPN showed a video of people who were at the symposium last year who now work for Disney. It was 7 or 8 people on there. Big shout out to my boy Rodney Richardson, who was on that video. Kalon Hooks as well too. But Rodney was my roommate last year. We drove together. He came from Charlotte, and they talked about how the symposium changed their life. On top of that, it's more than just folks who got hired at ESPN. There are multiple folks who got hired in other areas. And you see their success stories. And I think now that, once a lot of the companies, Ted, the bigger companies kind of like, I guess, find their way when it comes to what's going on in the economy and in the business structure, you're going to see, and you also, Ted, another thing is a lot of companies are kind of expanding. Amazon's expanding. I think Apple will be expanding pretty soon, when it comes to sports. Like you said, you have television contract with the NBA coming up. So you might have a new provider or two jumping in that, which creates more jobs, and like I said, Ted, there's so many different ways. And not to mention, Ted, we have a chance to see AEW's superstars there on a panel talking about the historical significance of African-American wrestlers, and Ted, we talk wrestling all the time. When you have, a panel from, they said past, present, future, we're talking Stokely Hathaway, who started as a wrestler, who's one of the most outstanding managers in all forms of wrestling. And then you have current day stars, such as Will Nightingale and Ricky Starks. And then you have Future and Powerhouse Hobbs. And then you have the Future, which is Jay Cargill. And they're all in a panel with Andreas Hayles of Busted Open Radio, which is one of Ted's favorites of mine as well, too. You have an all-black panel talking wrestling, Ted. How often do you ever see that anywhere? Moderated, done, produced, executive produced by all black folks. It's just amazing.
It sounded like a really, really great experience. Invitation only.
Yes. 10,000 people applied. I was one of the 1,700 that was accepted.
Wow. I would like to know if the most important person in my book, if he was there as a presenter, and that is none other than the great Jim Trotter.
Jim Trotter was not there this year. Steve Weiss, who's actually on the executive committee, one of the founding fathers of the Black Sport Business Symposium, he was there. Jim Trotter was not there. There was no Jim Trotters and no Stephen A. Smiths there in 2023, maybe in 2024. But Ted, if you're talking about just the pure journalist aspect, you're talking Steve Weiss, you're talking to Kimberly Martin of ESPN. We're talking Kalina Martin.
I used to read Kimberly Martin when she was part of Newsday.
Yes, I think it's Kalina Martin from MLB Network, the only black female on the air talking baseball. Christina Williams from Girl Talk Sports, who was interviewing Michelle Roberts, who was one of the keynote speakers. You had LaChina Robinson from ESPN, who was doing the panels with Maya Moore and Jonathan Irons. And she also did the one for Dawn Staley. So there were so many. Jabari Young, who did one panel and also was hosting the award show, because it was an award show on Saturday night. So Ted, when you say heavy hitters and journalists, I mean, there were heavy hitters that were doing this as well. Jesse Washington was the one that was moderating Rich Paul because he wrote his autobiography coming out the fall. So, and not to mention, you had a chance that Rich Paul was he was basically hiring for interns on spot at the Symposium for Clutch. I mean, that's the type of pull this event had when Clutch Sports is literally hiring 6 students to have internships for the summer at literally the biggest company in sports media and sports marketing right now.
Wow. Okay. So I guess I'll go into real briefly WNBA and cutting a deal with Scripps, Ion TV, that deal. If you could talk about how significant a deal like that is, and does it open the door for everyone else that's not your standard provider to be to get into the live sports game?
I think so. I think the WNBA is like a lot of sports. I mean, Ted, remember the WNBA first came in, we're talking We Got Next. People forget, Ted, that, we saw games at NBC, but there were games on Lifetime.
Yes.
The Women's Network, Lifetime had games on when the WNBA first started, and they've tried that play before. But yeah, going to Ion is a great move. You get Friday night basketball during the summer.
2 windows?
It's 2 windows, doubleheader windows. And you get to see, I think it might even be regional coverage as well, too, which means it's more exposure.
Yes.
In a league that needs the most exposure possible. And Ted, we're coming off another women's Final Four that not only broke, viewership records, it almost hit almost a 10 on ABC in the middle of a Sunday afternoon. If you put that in the grand scale, it outdrew anything the NBA has done all season. When you get close to a 10 in the share,
yes.
you're hitting double digits. Baseball doesn't do it. The NBA hasn't done it. And truth be told, Ted, the only sport that gets double digits and high double digits is the National Football League. Right. So you have to give the WNBA a lot of credit. Like I said, I love the deal with Scripps. I think it's a low cost, high reward situation. You're putting the W in more homes. And that, Ted, you're right. It can lead to another smaller deal. I think they're going to do Paramount Plus this year as well. They haven't announced the Paramount Plus schedule because they've been doing CBS Sports Network as well. But there's games going to Paramount Plus this year. I think Amazon's going to have a couple of games this year. So, Ted, really, I think the WNBA is starting to do what the NBA is going to do in a couple of years by, like you said, putting themselves on multiple platforms to be able to watch basketball.
Yep.
And that's what it is.
You got to make it available for people.
You have to.
I think Amazon has something exclusively with the Seattle Storm.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the Storm has their own, kind of like the Yankees, they have their own package where you can watch games on Amazon only in the Seattle area.
Right.
The same way the Yankees do games on Amazon. I think it's a test market type of thing. Seattle basketball. I mean, the people that in the Pacific Northwest had, we've known for years, watching games, growing up, everybody in that area loves basketball. So for the Storm to get it, it's a good test window. But the W needs all the help it can get. And like I said, Ted, if you're able to get it on cable television or another provider, Ion doesn't have to have 150 million homes. But the fact of
it's in every home.
That's right. It is on the standard cable packages for most cable.
It's in every home.
Ted, so you're putting it on a network where people watch it. Now the W just needs to be able to market the game, and that's something that the league has struggled with, is getting their players, the women, out there to the massive public. This is the year, Ted, where the WNBA, we've talked about this before briefly on the show, is really, Ted, New York and Las Vegas is really headed for a championship.
Yes.
You have 2 super teams, Ted. You go back.
Totally over the top.
Ted, we haven't seen anything like this. Is what the Clippers and this is the Cavs and Warriors back in the LeBron James, Steph Curry.
Well, that 4-year run.
Yeah, and then now the Liberty went out and got their Kevin Durant, and you have literally the two best teams in the league going at it, and everybody wants to catch the aces, but the Liberty roster is completely loaded. So you know, like I said, it's so much excitement in the WNBA, but that's a whole other topic for another day.
Injuries do happen, but could you briefly talk about any anomalies that you are seeing now in the NBA playoffs?
I mean, Ted, there's always sometimes. I mean, I know Nick Wright had talked about it yesterday. I know that, you know, it's been kind of a growing trend. It's been funny over the years. It just seems like the Golden State Warriors somehow catch some kind of injury luck. It always happens to a guard in the playoffs for some strange reason. Some guard always gets hurt playing the Warriors in the playoffs. Yes, the Warriors have seen their share of injuries, but Ted, this is literally a laundry list of guys getting hurt in key moments of series against the Warriors. Now De'Aaron Fox has a fractured index finger on his shooting hand. Of all the things that you get, the Kings had every bit of momentum, and now this happens when De'Aaron Fox said he will play in Game 5 on tomorrow night, by the way.
Wow.
But Ted, it hit a playoffs, Ted, where we had De'Aaron Fox getting injured. Kawhi Leonard's missed, I think he's out again tonight, so he's been hurt literally for the last 3 games. Joel Embiid got hurt in the Brooklyn series. John Morant's injury might have costed Memphis any chance of the playoffs. We saw Giannis's injury almost basically derail the Miami Heat, who also lost Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo in similar games in the series. You know, Paul George hasn't played 1 minute for the Clippers in the playoffs. I mean, Ted, there are just so many injuries galore in the series, in the playoffs. It's we're the point now we're talking about who is left. But I things happen. But I guess the one thing I struggle with is load management. The whole idea of saving guys the whole season for this moment, and guys who have been load managed all year is not playing.
Or not playing. I was having a conversation in the office by the water cooler, just disgusted with load management and the fact that the players who participated in load management are still not playing. And
so let's knock on LeBron James or Anthony Davis not getting hurt in the situation, by the way. But continue.
Right.
It's a weird situation, Ted. It's like now we have the Hawks and the Celtics that are playing right now as we're actually taping the show, and the Nuggets and Timberwolves, that series should end tonight. And like you said, the Clippers, they're playing. I mean, the Clippers don't have no chance to win tonight. With no Kawhi Leonard, no Paul George, unless Russell Westbrook. Even if Russell Westbrook goes Oklahoma City, Russell Westbrook, the Suns have everybody healthy. Like, I can't see Russell Westbrook literally winning a game against all 4 of the Phoenix Suns Infinity Stones playing in one game. I just can't see it happening.
No way.
No offense to Russ, by the way.
And Russ is in his unlocked mode.
Yeah, he's back to Oklahoma. He's playing like Oklahoma City Russ right now.
Yes. A question I had for you the other night, and I don't believe you answered it, but then again, you might have. Do you have more of a problem? And this is regarding Dylan Brooks. I guess our Draymond Green of 7 years ago. Do you have more of a problem with Dylan Brooks' shenanigans now, or his overall shot selection?
Jeez, a couple of days ago, asked me the question. I said the shot selection, but the out annoyance is not even helping worse. Here's the problem with Dylan Brooks, right? Dylan Brooks wants to be the supervillain, and I was thinking about this the other day as I was getting dressed for work. Every team has to have the hero, and every team has to have a villain. It just happens to work. It's the best teams have it, right? For as great as the Golden State Warriors has been, Stephen Curry has been Superman, for years. And Draymond Green has to be the role of the bad guy. It is what it is. Very few guys in the league can play both roles. Like, very few guys in the league right now can be hero and villain at the same time. Jimmy Butler is one of them. Either you love Jimmy Butler, or you just completely dislike Jimmy Butler. But he plays both roles amazingly. LeBron James is another one. Dylan Brooks' shot selection is just flat atrocious. Dylan Brooks forgot what offense looks like. 2 years ago, Teddy was a 17.5 point a game scorer, and he was literally going to be the next, the cog that goes in the John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. cog of what they were building.
Mm-hmm.
Something must have happened. I don't know if something landed on him or he decided to cut his hair. I don't know what he decided to do, but he went from literally being a guy that you could depend on, a guy who's getting better at shooting, and he's turned into this guy that just really just wants to, like, I guess, be a defensive stopper and be the lightning rod, and it's just not working. But Ted, if you're gonna trash talk, at least knock down shots. Don't act like you're a 20-point a game scorer when you're averaging 10. Like, that's the problem I have. Let Desmond Bane and Dylan and John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. take all the shots possible. Let Luke Kennard shoot, because obviously he's the best shooter in the team and he refuses to shoot in the series. Let Luke Kennard shoot. At this point, let Grizz shoot. I don't care who it is. Dylan Brooks needs to stop shooting at all costs at this point. But Dylan knows if he stops shooting, he hasn't been that great defensively in the series guarding LeBron James. So if he's not shooting, then Taylor Jenkins has no point in taking him out the game. But I think going forward, I'll be completely honest, I don't know what Dylan Brooks' future in Memphis is going to look like. He's a free agent in the summer. Who knows if Memphis is going to bring him back, because he thinks he's a $20 to $25 million a year player. Wow. And I just cannot see the Grizzlies doing that.
You had mentioned recently to me, you were in the Newport News area, and there was some type of Nike high school summit. What was that about?
So, Ted, this is the time of year where head coaches and high schools can start basically open recruiting. Nike, every shoe company has, Ted, their teams going on. And up here in the Hampton Roads area this weekend, the Nike EBYL tournament got underway. And Atlanta was for the boys. So up here was the under 17, under 16 EBYL league, the first kickoff. So it's 3 stages. Hampton had the first stage. And I think in mid-May, they go off to 4 other cities to prepare for nationals in Chicago right after July 4th weekend. And so big shout out to my man, A-Rob, Anthony Robinson, big shout outs to him for getting the missus and I, the first lady and I, into the event. And Ted, you walking through, and if you've never been to Boo Williams, if you're a connoisseur of basketball, if you love especially grassroots basketball, high school basketball, Boo Williams up in Hampton, Virginia is literally legendary. You talk about, you're in New York City, so you're talking about, Rucker Park. That's like the outdoor, but if you look at how AAU started and how AAU became famous, Boo Williams is basically is one of the godfathers of the whole thing. People talk about Sonny Vicario, but Boo Williams is basically everything here. The track record of players that come from Boo or play in the Boo program, Ted, is a laundry list of men and women. I mean, Ted, we're going as far back as Alonzo Mourning and J.R. Reed, and you're talking about Allen Iverson, wow. Allen Iverson and Ronald Curry. Now you're going to current day of your boy in Brooklyn, Cam Thomas, Dorian Finney-Smith of Cam Thomas and Dorian Finney-Smith of your Brooklyn Nets played at Boo Williams. He played for Boo. Even on the female side, Ted, I mean, you had Shakira Austin, who's now was a top 5 pick by the Washington Mystics. There's so many names I can think of. JJ Redick played at Boo. There's a whole laundry list, which I had a list of players.
I think I lost you. I think I lost you.
Yeah,
all right.
Oh, am I here again?
Yeah, I lost you for a minute.
Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi. So blame the piano. But no, the tournament was in 2 locations. Like I said, Boo Williams Sportsplex, Ted, where you have courts everywhere. And then the other side where they had the track, they actually had the court inside the track. And they played the under 16s at the convention center. So Ted, you're walking through the building and it's nothing but who's who list of college coaches in the female game. I get there on Saturday. I was there Friday and Saturday. Ted, I walk in there Saturday afternoon, before the Boo Williams game at 12:30. And Ted, I'm sitting down. I think I sent you a picture. and you have Kara Lawson of Duke literally sitting behind me.
Yep.
And then within 10 minutes, Lisa Bluford of Iowa, the Caitlin Clark head coach, was literally sitting and literally catty-cornered to me on the other side. And we're watching the team from Philadelphia play, Philly Rise. And they're over there just taking notes and taking players' names down, and because they have the ability to start looking for for people for recruiting. And then I walk around the other side, and you see Sports Academy, otherwise known as the Mambas, with Derek Fisher behind the helm. And you're looking over there, Ted, you're seeing Dawn Staley sitting next to Tara Vanderveer and just literally just have a full-fledged conversation. And you see, Yo McClain from Ole Miss. You're walking by, and Debbie Black from North Carolina is there, and Brenda Fries from Maryland. You see Ted. I want to say there had a good 60 or 70 head coaches there just in that building alone on Saturday.
Wow.
And they're just literally scouting, and this is the open period. So this is the time of year where girls and boys, but since I was the girls, so I'm gonna say girls, were getting their shot to be seen. You're going to start seeing names, and I mean, Ted, there was some good basketball out there, and you see the future of what basketball looks like. And like I said, big shout outs to Nike and Boo, and I said my man A-Rob for taking care of the wife and I for the whole weekend. And they didn't win their they fell short. They were 3-2. So they finished in 7th place in the under 17 for the first part, and we'll see how they do in nationals. I think they'll do really well. They got some really good talent over there.
Hey, before we wrap up, tell us your latest article. What are you writing about on your Substack?
So, one of the reasons why I started Substack is, Ted, we talked about this, and it's one of the first things I wrote on Substack. My Substack is really, it's kind of an educational tool, right? People in analytics and data analytics and basketball go hand in hand, but it's also two sets of folks that just really don't understand each other. When you watch basketball, you see one set of stats, and you see the surface level, and advanced stats are basically stuff that's under the hood. So when you look at statistics for the way they is, my idea was to basically teach analytics and show analytics in a way where people who don't understand it can understand it. So I did write a piece this afternoon. It kind of started a kind of a lesson. The first lesson was really about shooting percentages. Ted, true shooting. The Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic debate. You look at field goal percentage. What is true? What is effective field goal percentage? So I explained that in the first one that was earlier this week, and then today's one was about rebound rate. Because Ted, it's funny how we look at Domantas Sabonis, who leads the NBA in rebounding at about 12.3 a game, and saying he's the best rebounder in the game. But when you look at who has the best rebound rate, it's Jonas Valanciunas of the New Orleans Pelicans, who grabs 23% of the rebounds that happen when he's in the game. So I think it's a really good piece about learning how rebound rate really does show who the best rebounders in the league are. It's more than, like I said, stats are more than just what they see on the surface level. It's actually something you see under the hood, and so it's trying to bridge the gap between what's seen on the surface and what's under the hood, so people can understand the correlation and the importance of both.
Got it. And the name of your Substack?
It is called The Wonderful World of Data on Substack. It's pretty simple. It's what basketball data is. It's just wonderful, and you put it all together, and it comes up beautiful every single time.
Where can we find you on your Twitter handle?
It's still the same as always, Danny DA3 Thompson on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. You'll see my stuff everywhere. And like I said, this Substack is fun for me. And I show up with the occasional podcast, and when Mr. Jebediah Hicks over there sends over the bat signal, that's when I show up.
And we are out. Thank you so much, Danny.
Always, Ted. Always.